Hi there, and thanks for joining us right here on The Nation. I am Jessie Chahel, and in this show we always like to take an in-depth look into issues concerning all Malaysians all across the nation. And tomorrow is actually the 28th of April, and it is the World Day for Safety and Health at the workplace. And today we want to highlight this topic of workplace safety. Who looks after you while you are at work? Who looks after your welfare? Who takes care of you when you're out and about working? And today I have a very special guest in the studio with me. Please help me welcome my guest for today, Datuk Kanagaraja Raman, who is the president of MOSPA, which is actually the what do you call it, the Malaysian Occupational Safety
and Health Practitioners Association.
Okay, MOSPA. Now, welcome to the show, Datuk. How are you today?
Good, fine, thank you.
Do share with us what is MOSPA and how it has matured and how it got started in the first place.
Okay, MOSPA is a Malaysian Occupational Safety and Health Practitioners Association. This is an association for all the safety officers throughout the country. You know, safety and health in workplace, it starts from home till the workplace. So we have safety officers, safety supervisors governing the safety at workplaces. So this association was formed for the benefits and welfare of the safety officers who assigns on projects.
Okay, so how did you come across to found this association?
Okay, at 1994, the Act on Safety, the Malaysian Occupational Safety and Health OSHA Act was formed, or it was implemented in the Parliament. So when this Act came in, it was the right time where our Twin Tower came in.
Yes.
Our Twin Tower started in 1994 in Feb. So that gave me an opportunity to work as a safety officer in one of the tower, that is Tower 1.
Tower 1, okay.
Yeah.
And what an experience that would have been as well. What exactly goes in when you say workplace safety? What, especially with this particular iconic building, what are the key things that the association or its, the enforcement, what would you be looking at?
Okay, when it came to Twin Tower, it was that was a mega project. So we had about 3,500 all walks of workers, mostly of foreign workers. See, when the foreign workers come to do a project, a mega project like that on a high-rise building, it was a 82-story building.
Yeah.
So they have to really work safely. So our job as a safety officer to make sure that
they remain safe.
And then no accidents occurs. You see, if an accident, even a small accident occurs, the project site will be closed for a few days.
That's right.
So that will also become a big loss for
profits and of course loss of life.
Yes. So our job is to make sure that the site is really safe. So, and these foreign workers, they just come to do work.
That's right.
For them, is doing the work is the priority, not on safety. So we, from morning, we get these workers to get introduced on safety things. We show them what are the hazards on the site. So we make sure that the whole day the work goes on smooth without any accidents.
So you start off with a briefing, even to train them, because they come sometimes without the skills or knowledge, right? And then you look at implementing this safety to protect from any hazards from happening. What is it that could commonly happen in this sort of workplace?
Okay, when I talk about the high-rise buildings, of course, falling from the height is the main. So we have to make sure that they work very safely on height. So, you see, when we talk about safety, basically they should wear a safety helmet to protect their head. They should have a safety belt when they work on a height, and then a proper safety shoe. These are the basic things where normally the workers have to have. Second thing is their mindset. So when I say it's a safety belt, when a high-rise building, they got to hook the belt on the right place, so that even they accidentally slip, the safety belt can save their life. This is really happened. I really visually saw this when we were around 70 over the story in Twin Tower, where a worker was working, and then he was good. He was good because he had a safety belt, safety harness we call it, and he hooked to the one of the safe thing, and then he slipped. And at the moment he shouted, I ran to the place and saw him hanging.
Oh dear, thank goodness.
Hanging with the belt. Although it hurts his hips and all that, but he was saved. He was still living. Otherwise, he would have come down 70 stories. Imagine what would have happened to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Now, is it, like you mentioned, mindset? Is that the hardest part to enforce? Because sometimes you can provide all this equipment, but it's not being applied.
Yes. Man is a man. So we can tell them everything, you can tell them, but they still find some shortcuts. There's another incident where I could quote, it didn't happen on my tower, but it was also happened on the other side. So he was trying to get a shortcut. I mean, he was jumping. We call it a monkey jump. So while he was jumping, instead of walking down with a staircase, the proper staircase to down, he was jumping to get a shortcut. So he stepped on into one manhole where they just had a thin plywood. So it happened, he stepped on it, not realizing it's a duck. So all the way down through the duck. So this is even how much we implement also, they take a shortcut. But that doesn't matter. We have to tell them every day on the safety.
Is a new day. Yeah. Now these are the workers, but what about the owners, so to say, the people who are responsible for this particular building or project? Are they enforcing it, or do you find through your eyes experience that there is a lack of that as well?
Okay. Well, the law says that any projects above 20 million, you must have a competent safety officer. This competent safety officer, he has to go through the courses, and then he must have the experience. So they are sort of given, we call it a green book.
Okay.
Green is for safety. You can see me, I'm wearing a green. Yeah.
Yes.
So they call it a green book. That's a competency certificate. So once they have that thing, then they go to the site and take care of the safety. But project sites which have mega projects, they find, I would say, still a shortage of safety officers. So they don't, they try to get away from the law. They don't have the safety officers on the proper side. So when there is no safety officers,
because this is always assuming that no accident will happen if we, we've provided everything. There should not be any hazards, but no one takes into account for when something happens.
Yes.
Then who is responsible? Who should be held responsible?
Definitely it's a management or the employer, because if he has engaged a safety officer, then the safety officer's job is to make sure that everything goes well without any accidents. But if he doesn't engage, then the workers are at free. Then they do what they like. So then accident occurs.
You mentioned earlier for these are like big projects above 20 million, but even small projects, even smaller housing projects, shop lot buildings, any sort of construction work will also must require a safety officer.
The law says the safety officer for 20 million above is a mandatory, because he can govern, but below him you'll have the safety officers. But anything below the 20 million, the mandatory is they must have the safety supervisor. They call it again a yellow book, and they got a category. So any project site, it can be a very small project, but you must have a safety supervisor. That is the law. So the job with the safety personnel there is taken care of the safety issues.
So do they employ enough safety workers, safety officers, supervisors, or do you find that's also there's a lack there? Maybe awareness is the issue?
Well, now safety, you are a safety officer, is very tempting, because since there is a shortage of safety officers, but the projects are immense, but the paid, the salary which is being given to the safety officers is big, I would say. In Malaysia, I would say if you are a safety officer, competent safety officer, your salary ranges from 10,000 to 12,000 or 15,000, safety officer. Even supervisors, we pay about 5,000.
So it's a good profession
both
to consider and to get into if one was interested in that. Is it because it's high risk as well?
Yeah, because the management or the employers, if anything would happen on the site, they are going to lose much more bigger.
Absolutely.
So they must have the safety officer, and it's an act. The enforcement from we come under the Human Resource Ministry, where we have JKKP, that's DOSH, Department of Occupational Safety and Health. They are the one who govern the sites. they will make sure that your project site comply with their requirement, like safety officers, safety supervisors. You cannot run away from that. If you don't have, they can even come and stop the work for a certain period. So both on government and of course the employers must have the feeling that they must have these safety officers.
Yeah, they have to appoint someone and have to implement these. On an international level, if you compare Malaysia, where are we in terms of this implementation and awareness, and even how safe are we in all our construction and building work?
Oh, well, I will say Malaysia has got a very high ranking in the field of OSH, because equivalent to even our foreign countries like Japan or Korea, of course they are more advanced, but then our competency and then our things looking into safety is much more greater, because as I said earlier, the competency green book holders, they are well recognized in Dubai, Qatar, Singapore, foreign countries, because our certificate is very stringent. To get that certificate, the lawmakers make it very strict, so that you must have the knowledge, you must have everything to get the certificate. So it is well recognized. Malaysian is well
recognized, and so highly skilled and highly trained as well. You need to be well qualified in this profession. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will continue this discussion about safety and health at the workplace. Stay tuned.
Ayah, nak kunci kereta. Budin dah habis cuci ni.
Rajinnya anak ayah. Nak ambil ni.
Tak apa ayah. Budin ikhlas tolong ayah ni.
Terima kasih, Encik. Kalau Encik tolong saya, tak tahu apa saya nak buat.
Jangan macam ni, Encik. Saya ikhlas. Lagipun, kita kan sama-sama rakyat Malaysia. Kita saling membantu.
Ini rezeki perniagaan Encik. Dah pun diluluskan.
Terima kasih, Encik. Wah, cakap betul Encik buat kerja ya. Jom, Encik, saya belanja makan.
Encik, ni memang tugas saya. Lagipun saya dah dibayar gaji untuk semua ni. Saya tak harapkan balasan.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now, today's topic is, of course, the occupational safety and health issue in conjunction with the World Day, World Day for Safety and Health at Work, which is happening tomorrow. And the Malaysian government, through the Human Resource Ministry, recognizes this important day for the occupational safety and health, with this year's theme being "Join in Building a Culture of Prevention on Occupational Safety and Health." Now, we were talking earlier before the break about how in the construction environment, but what about in other environments as well? Because there's other outdoor environments, and also in the office.
Yes, as you said, I think well said, because safety starts from the home. You see? Whenever we start to live, okay, we take a vehicle, we go into the car, we put in the safety belt. There it starts.
Yes.
Then you're coming to the construction site or whatever sites, there, as I said, you have to hook a safety belt. So it starts from the home till your office. Office also, we have every place, office, factories, in oil and gas, or any part of the sites, you have the safety. If you talk about the factories, let's say if they move things from one corner to the other corner, they have to use forklifts. So forklift, for naked eye, we just see forklift carrying things and moving.
That's right.
But then the forklift driver have to be trained to drive that forklift, because it has to turn from one corner. You must know how much weight he's carrying. If he just drives around like that, he will be knocking people.
Absolutely.
So in a factory, if you have a forklift, there is a forklift safety. So other things in a factory side, you can see the wires running around and all that. That calls the fire safety. Sometimes, as usual, I think even the house, we put in a plug, we put another plug over there, 3-pin plugs here and there. That's all is not advisable, because that will spark fire. So these safety things will start from fire safety, forklift safety, and into many
the list goes on.
yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the oil and gas environment,
Yeah.
which is also something that you have a lot of experience and knowledge in.
Okay, oil and gas we have offshore and within the other side. So offshore, when they go in, is very limited space, and then it is in the sea. So you have to be really trained in offshore to safeguard. What happens if fire starts? How you can get the people away from there? How the tugboats are taken? All these, the safety officers will be trained to get away.
Because you can anticipate it as much as you want, but when it happens, everyone needs to be on the ball.
Yeah.
So your training, your skills, everything's got to kick in without the element of panic. So that's not an easy thing to do. So how is the training done, and how do you help them at that particular point?
Yeah, yes. If, let's say, go back to Twin Tower, we have 88 story there, and let's say if the fire starts in the floor of 60th floor, so how the people are going to be get escape?
That's right.
So the job of the safety officer is to make sure that when the fire occurs, if everybody is going to start running, then they go into chaos.
Yeah.
But where the safety officer will tell them, train them daily, okay, you have this, you can't take the lift. If this is not told, any occupant on the building, first thing they will run to the lift to get down. But you can't take the lift. That is advice. So you have staircase. You have to be told them which are the staircase to take, how to run, where to assemble yourself.
That's
so
right.
yeah.
I mean, this is also something we had learned very early in life, from school into college,
College,
and then into
right.
the office.
Right.
The office environment, a lot of people perhaps unassumingly think that it should be a safe environment, aircon, lift, staircase, it's all safe. But all these elements, all these hazards can happen equally in a space like that.
Yes.
So a lot of training, I think, is being given by the employer as well. A lot of people sometimes find that, oh no, training again, boring subject. We know what to do, but is it really that simple?
If you train them or explain to them how you should get in case of an emergency, where you should assemble, because if they run to another place, they will get into the worst place, or if there will be a fire somewhere. So they must be told. Although accident doesn't tell you when it's going to come.
That's right. But it's better to prevent than to cure, right?
Yeah. So if they don't know what to do in case of accident or a fire, they will be in a chaos. Instead of getting escape, they will get trapped.
That's right.
So that's the safety part.
Also, I wanted to speak a little bit about your other projects that you have been involved with, namely the Prime Minister's office as well.
Right.
Share with us some of that experience.
Right. After doing the Twin Tower, which was the tallest building at that time, and then I was given a chance to work in the Prime Minister's office. So our priority was not to have any accidents, because these are the mega projects, and then the world is looking into it.
Sure.
So we were very stringent. Of course, the contractors or the person who was doing the contract, they were very stringent on safety. So we employed a lot of safety officers, and again, Prime Minister's office was, although it's about 7 to 8 stories, but it was a mega project. Then by that time, the workers were all trained. They must have worked in some other places. They come, they know what is a safety. But then we still tell the foreigners that you have come to our country to make money, but you have to work safely.
Yes.
Otherwise, you get into
trouble.
And then you won't be sending money to your back home, but you will be suffering here in hospital, or what if you have accident.
So it takes two to tango here. You know, it takes the workers and then it takes the employers. Both need to put in equal amount of effort to look out for each other, because that's the thing about safety. It's not just looking out for yourself, but looking out for the others as well. So to say, to prevent any accident from happening, through the association, through MOSPA, what are the challenges that you are facing that you would like to share with everyone, for them to know what MOSPA is trying to achieve, but maybe finding some challenges there?
As I said earlier, some of the contractors, they find a shorter way. You see, when a contract is awarded, it is in their contract to certain allocation for safety. So what normally they do is to cut short here and there by making more money in safety. I will advise, or I always tell to the contractors, don't save money on safety. Because if there are certain requirements, certain things need to be given to the workers, it must be given. It's not only, when I talk about safety, it's not only a safety of this wearing helmet or wearing a safety shoe, but beyond that, health also comes in.
That's right.
So they must make sure their working place is really taken care on the health side. Proper toilet is given, proper drainage is given, proper water is, even drinking water is given proper. You just cannot put that up there and ask them to drink. So health should be taken care, security should be taken care, environment should be, all this comes into the safety. So they should not cut short. They should spend, because if accident occurs, they are going to lose.
Yes.
So the contractors should take the responsibility of safety issues.
In implementing this. Now, in terms of the training, how often, like for the employers, how often should they be updated with, you know, the latest safety techniques, and do you conduct any of those trainings?
Of course, MOSPA also conducts a lot of training. That's our job. So we conduct more safety courses for the safety supervisors, safety officers. In line, when you become a safety officer, it's a mandatory, you have to have a certain continuous education points to renew your license. That means in 2-3 years you must have about 90 points to renew. So we have to conduct courses for the safety officers. Same time, we also conduct on various courses, like earlier I said, forklift, on fire safety, and then environment, height, working on the height. We emphasize more onto height, how safe should, because when a building goes up, you can see some buildings with nets, some buildings without net. That's, if it is without net, they are trying to save cost. If with net, a little thing, even let's say a hammer which they work, it slips from the hand. If there is no net, it will fall off.
Fall out and could hurt
the people down.
Exactly. Which has happened as well.
Yes.
We've had a few cases, and a few people have, in fact, you know, it's been fatal accidents. So it's not only about the workers, but also the surrounding area. I think this is a sight we see a lot. If I can just take KL as an example, with all the construction projects we have ongoing, sometimes, you know, you have the construction site boarded off. Sometimes it isn't, and it's so easily blends in with the people
flow.
and then the workers, and there's no safety net, so to say, or even you get big potholes that's just surrounding a construction site, very dangerous for drivers and all of that. So who's responsible for that once it comes to that point?
It's everybody's, safety is everybody's business. So the contractor, the employers should provide the net which the safety officer takes to the project site and get the contract workers to install the safety nets. So it's both sides, but it must be made sure that high-rise buildings should have safety nets, even safety nets to certain floors where they can, even some objects falls off, it's a trap. They can catch it.
Right. And these sites also, whether it's a doing of some people throwing rubbish in general and leaving that garbage there, because it's a construction site, some people assume it's also a garbage site. So it gets mounted with rubbish, and that also is unhealthy for the workers and surrounding. I mean, if you've got mosquitoes breeding, dengue at large now, these are all contributing factors as well. What is, if they are fined, how big and how heavy is this fine, or do some companies or employers go, that's a small issue.
You see, it starts from the workers' attitude. So we as a safety officers been empowered, but this empowerment we will see it in the management meeting, in the contracts, and then we will see how the workers, because all workers are not the same. We can keep on telling them, but to get them practice the act is another thing. So we are actually empowered with the management's approval to find the workers. That starts from the workers. Let's say if he doesn't wear a helmet, doesn't wear a proper shoe, we can find them a minimal amount. This money is to not to make the company rich, but then awareness.
To implement discipline as well.
So we can, even in Twin Tower, we have fined the workers 50 ringgit, second offense 100 ringgit, like that. But when the contractors or the employers don't comply with this, we have gone up to the government, DOSH. DOSH will go and fine them right up to 50,000. It depends on cases.
How large as well,
if they don't have the net, they can come and give them, of course they give them a warning. Then if they don't still comply, they go even fining them to 50,000 to 500,000. So there are cases where the fatality happens. I think few years back that one engineer was killed and all that. So they will take them to court, find the owner who's doing the project, find 1,000,
find them.
Imprisonment also. It's all in the act. So in 1994, the earlier one was a Factory and Machinery Act. It was in 1967. Machinery Act, where the government will go and inspect on the machineries. But now it has become a 1994 Safety and Health Act, which empowers the government to fine the employers who don't comply with the safety things.
So there are eyes watching, and there are laws in place as well to ensure that everyone is guaranteed, or rather there are guidelines being put to guarantee the safety at the workplace in terms of health as well, and at all sorts of workplace. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I have another guest in the studio with me to talk about safety and health as well. And we just want to highlight as well that MOSPA is supporting the launching of the National World OSH Day, and there will be a separate event that MOSPA will be conducting at Bukit Jalil Golf and Country Resort tomorrow evening. And then the Honorary Minister of the Human Resource Department will also...
He'll be in Kuantan.
In Kuantan.
That's on the government side. Of the DOSH, they have launching of the World Safety Day, which they have it every year. So this year they are doing it in Kuantan, where the minister will be there. So
to launch that.
And then before I finish, I think I would like to wish all the workers, employers, employees
who work very hard,
a healthy World Safety Day, which falls on 28 tomorrow. Okay, wishing all of you who are watching and who know of others who are working, in very dangerous environments, especially that we wish them all a very happy World Day of safety and health at the workplace. Okay, we take a quick break. When we come back, do stay tuned. I have my next guest with me.
Halo, apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama Kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan Kantor Berita Malaysia bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Pembahasan Masa. Mengupas isu semasa. Jadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
It doesn't matter if you work in an office, factory, on a construction site, warehouse or retail. The 10 commandments for workplace safety are the same. And really, valuing safety is not only the responsibility of your employer, your own well-being is something you owe yourself. And when it all boils down to it, returning home safe every day must be important to you. How would your family cope without you? What if you couldn't work anymore? Or play cricket with the kids, walk the dog, mow the lawn, or dress yourself in the morning? The most important reason for workplace safety is all about your life, your family and your friends. Seems like a pretty obvious concept, but what does this actually mean? It means wear your personal protective equipment, PPE, use the right tools for the job, don't assume that things like cleaning up are someone else's responsibility, look after new and transferred employees. Also, take these safety ideas home with you. Follow these principles and you'll greatly reduce your chance of an injury. It also means looking out for your workmates. If they are not doing something safely, it doesn't hurt to speak up.
Yeah, it's not for me to tell somebody how to do his job, but if I do pick somebody up for safety, it feels like I'm dobbing them in.
Yeah, I understand, but it will feel much better to speak up than to sit beside someone in a hospital bed. You might disagree with this. You might think that accidents just happen. That's just the way it is. But let's think about it for a moment. Think of any accident that happened at your workplace. With the benefit of hindsight, could this accident have been prevented? I bet it could have been. Let's review what you've seen today. The 10 commandments of workplace safety are: number 1, everyone is responsible for their own safety and the safety of others. Number 2, all accidents are preventable. Number 3, follow company rules, regulations and procedures. Number 4, assess the risks, stop and think. Number 5, be proactive about safety. Number 6, if you're not trained, don't do it. Number 7, manual handling, manage the lift. Number 8, don't take shortcuts. Number 9, practice good housekeeping. And number 10, be prepared. So there they are, the 10 commandments for workplace safety. Some basic and straightforward concepts to work to, making your life safer. And remember, when it all boils down to it, this is about you returning home safe every day.
That's right. Today's topic is indeed safety at the workplace, safety and health at the workplace. And tomorrow is World Day for Safety and Health at Work, which has been promoted by the UN. And in the studio with me right now is my second guest, Mr. Andrew Anthony, who's an occupational safety and health expert. Welcome to the show, Andrew. How are you today?
It was a pleasure being with you, and also
Absolutely.
a big thank you to Dato' Kanda, because he invited me to come in for this program today.
He had highlighted a little bit more on the workplace, but now we want to move towards applying this concept not just at the workplace but all around us in our everyday lives. Before we get to that, maybe you could bring us up to speed a little bit about this particular World Day for Safety and Health at Work, how it came about, and why is it important that we highlight this?
Thank you, Jessie. Actually, some years back in 1989, the International Labour Organization, they started off commemorating event, I should say. Actually, it really touched me when I was a safety practitioner. We always, when I was managing sites at a place of work, there are a lot of accidents. I've lost my friends, and I've even lost, some of them have lost their important body organs because of certain injury. But that's it. That 1 week is the talk of the town. And we say, oh, we feel sorry for this. And after that, everybody forgot about it. So there are a bunch of guys in America and Canada who said, hey, they should be remembered. So what shall we do? So they said in 1989, they started off on April 20th. They declared as a World Day. And that's how it all started. And in Malaysia, like what Dato said, we had the law. And after the law now, we are now thinking back as safety as a day. It's actually a day of commemorating. Like what you said about the culture.
Yeah.
And I think building culture. This is my keynote, actually, building culture. Are we only going to build this culture to the people at the workplace? Or we are now talking about the nation? As I told you, it should be responsibility, but it should be a nation. It's not a nation, but it should be human social responsibility.
I like that, how you've coined that, human social responsibility. And what do you mean by that?
Okay. You see, you act. Now, earlier, just a few minutes ago, you were talking to me about a program about potholes. Now, the potholes, we can't get the immediate authorities to act on the pothole. But I'm sure my fellow Malaysian who are driving using the road, we find it that it's not safe.
That's right.
Then I have to act accordingly to do something.
So it's everyone's responsibility.
Exactly. So that is the theme for this year. Now I'm trying to take it to the whole nation now to say, can it be a holistic approach? Now it is in form of education. Now it is simply from a mom and dad, or it's in the home. Where a mom or dad raises the thing to say, have you switched off the electric kettle? Have you switched off the microwave? You know, or all these things in safe position, in mode, where when we are going out somewhere. So this culture has been developed. Now let's look back at the current situation in Nepal.
Yes.
Nepal is not a nation that has anticipated an earthquake. But look, they have caught off guard. Completely off guard, and they are now in a disarray because they have not experienced it. It can happen to us, it can happen to anybody. But a few years ago, when it happened, a tsunami in Japan, Tokyo, but you see how they managed it. And do you know, this is what we talk about, lesson learned. Because the people in Japan, they conduct this kind of emergency techniques to their staff. Even when I was there, they conduct. They give you a kit for earthquake when you landed in Tokyo. You know, because, so I said, what is this for?
Yeah.
Being a Malaysian, you know, what is this for? You know, I said, no, anytime you can anticipate. So they gave us a training. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, we must be prepared, you know. So when we start this from young, so that is what my passion and my dream is, to see that schools embark into safety.
Are we doing that enough at the moment?
Well, you say I should thank the certain organization, be it media. I've already spoken to some of the authorities, and I think they are helping me, even government agencies. In fact, we are going to a school on May the 6th. You know, we will be at St. Mary's. See, we're going to talk to the students how to be safe. You know, it's not only about being safe. It's about using the right things. It's about our attitude, positive mental attitude. That's what we don't have. Now, just imagine, Jesse, if I were to drive out from Bernama out there, and if I were to put a signal, nobody will give me way.
Yes, that's a daily problem we have.
Why?
But it's an attitude. It's
so
our
because
Malaysian
we don't have the positive mental attitude. But the same thing that happened in Germany, there was an accident, and they practice a zip system. They call it the zip system. So that means one give way, one wait. The next one go.
Right.
So the right lane, the left lane almost. The place
everyone gets their turn.
You know, it's
but
just
we have this impatience and the sense of sudden urgency all the time. So like earlier, you know, we mentioned trying to find shortcuts.
Jesse, but I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled in a sense. You know why? If I were to ask the same Malaysian who did not give you the way on the use of road, if you ask him, he is the first one today asking, where do I donate for people in Nepal? He has that soft heart with him. But where is this when it comes to road? That's what I always ask every Malaysian. Why can't we practice one car at least one day? Or let's say if my journey is about 10, 15 kilometers, I think I give way for 3 cars. Keep in mind. I think KL, we would not have this problem.
I think you should blow up this idea and spread it up to everyone, because if everybody did that, if one driver gave 3 cars way, the roads would be a much more pleasant journey back home.
I'm trying my best.
I'm sure. Now we just want to go back to the issue of safety, for example, at schools or shopping malls, or even homes. We've read in the recent past many fatal accidents actually has happened concerning children falling from buildings through near the escalators. Why is this happening? Is there not any implementation that's being done? Or
well, if you look like what Dato was talking about, the legal implication, we have all the regulations, those machineries, those escalators, or whatever that is there, it has all have been approved by the government. It has got all the certification. But one problem is that, you see, we don't communicate. When I was in somewhere in another land, and somebody asked me, "Are you a Malaysian?" I said, "Yes." "Oh, Malaysians are very communicating people." I was very proud. Yes, we are. But we don't do this to our immediate members of our family. I for one, feel that sometimes we just do it for the sake of doing. Don't do that. The car will knock you down. The child will not listen to you. The way that we speak to our children is very important. Okay? So I think the instructions that we are given to our children before we go shopping, what do you need to anticipate? Now, I always have spoken about this many times. I say that children who is below 10 will always stick and cling to the mom wherever she goes. But a guy who has a teenage kid, I don't think the child will want to go and see what the mom wants to buy because it's out of his interest. Probably he wants to go to a sports section or toy section or maybe even to a book session. So it could be of different floors. Now what happens if there were to be an emergency? The first thing that will strike on me is I want to see my mom when there's an emergency. But that is not the right measure. You should evacuate from the floor that you're in. You should not be running to another floor. So this has not been communicated. So today I would like to ask parents or anybody for that matter when we are going shopping, have we ever discussed or planned at a situation at the shopping mall? For example, if I'm entering Mid-Valley, I said, okay, we see you back in 10 minutes or 15 minutes here. Now, if in case there's any emergency, don't look for me. God willing, we'll see you outside at the assembly point. So these kind of things we don't get to communicate.
And we should do a lot more of that. On that note, we take a quick break. When we come back, we will resume this very interesting discussion. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Pasang Masa. Mengupas isu semasa. Jadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Hi there, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Now, tomorrow is World Day for Safety and Health at Work, and the theme this year is Join in Building a Culture of Prevention on Occupational Safety and Health. And that's exactly what we are in discussion with today. Before the break, we stopped at safety at large for others. Yes. We also want to now talk about what does that mean. Everybody is responsible. Everybody needs to take action. I got to look out for you. You got to look out for me. Right?
Right. Okay. Basically, my concern is for people who are neglected under this law. As I was talking to you about my mom, even though she's dead now, but our moms in general, see, they are doing out daily activities day in, day out. There are a lot of economic issues that we don't know. See, and nobody teaches them that.
No,
you know?
It's not highlighted enough.
Highlighted enough. Now, I'm trying to talk to Dato, if we can. When we are talking to Dato about training, I think it should not only be focused training for workforce only, but talking about getting people, children, the older generations, on issues on how would it'll affect economic issues, and this kind of things is now we are talking about holistic approach about safety. It's never too late. Education is never too late. So you see, during the time of a dry spell in Malaysia, and there's only certain hours of water has been released in our pipes, in our taps, and that time probably it's only our older generation are there, not the young ones, and you see our older people are struggling to lift up these things and causing a bodily injury. Now, because nobody told them about it. For them, it's like, I need to save water because if not, it's going to cause inconvenience for my children when they're bad. So these kind of things are not taught, but it could be done in a safe manner. If we have taught them, what would it cost? So they don't know. See, so the lot of issues today we are having is because we have not really trained the entire nation to look into it. I will also say it's not about 28th of April is a World OSH Day or World Safety Day. But it should be day in and day out safety. If I've not got up from my bed today in the right manner, I would not be at Bernama today. Yes. So I think it's about how I get up, how I put my foot down, and I walk down the stairs to do whatever that I'm supposed to do. So it's about all being on our mind to always focus on our safety manner in anything we do. Like what Dato said, when we sit in our car, half of our Malaysians, we will only wear a safety belt when you see in a traffic jam. You think that there's a cop who's waiting
when
there.
You see the police.
Yeah. You will not do it out of attitude or your positive mental, So how do you educate? So sometimes you need to educate your car. As being the eldest, so you should not, the car should not drive. Children will be saying, why the car not moving? Because you have not strapped on.
Yeah.
That's a way of communication we are talking about. The child will always ask, why is the car not moving? The car isn't moving because you're not strapped up. The family is not strapped up. You see, there you can build a culture. That's what we are talking about, culture.
I mean, it is perhaps difficult to change this overnight, but what you're saying is baby steps, bit by bit, little small habits, and that will become hopefully one day our nature, our culture.
Yes. I'm praying that this will be engaged in school as a subject. Maybe the school should look into educating a subject for safety for the children. So in order that when they come out to the working life, they know how to adapt safety. See, like now, he or she in school has not been taught about safety. Now, when I finish job, some go right up to university, some may drop out. The person who has dropped out may now go and work in a manufacturing company or an industry or wherever, and they say you have to follow this, and that guy just cannot accept it because he don't know what's happening. For all you know, If he were to drive a motorbike at a construction site, he says, wear the helmet. He said, I've been riding a bicycle for all these 17 over years. Nothing has happened. Why this guy telling me to wear a helmet? And
you shared with me another example earlier in school when every Monday there is a perhimpunan, as they call it, assembly. What happens there?
You see, this is another thing that they only touch more on the issues in the school. Now, there could be children riding a bike and probably not wearing a helmet. You know, I'm always worried about baju Melayu and riding a motorcycle. You know, there's always about getting tripped, getting hooked up.
So how to ride safely.
Yes, how to ride safely, using your signals, you know.
And even explaining to all within the school premises, in case there's an emergency. Yes, we have the general drills and then everybody leisurely takes their time to come down. Yes. But in this day and age, there could be a lot more new hazards, maybe, you know, with the buildings being very innovative now and creatively built. There could be many possibilities.
Yes. You see, if I were to ask my fellow Malaysian, what do you do when you spot a fire? Now, I think out of 10, 8 may not know how to use a fire extinguisher. But the fire extinguishers are displayed all over the building.
Yeah.
For example, I give you one example, is our shopping complex. We have fire extinguishers. Now, how many, we could see thousands of people patronizing in the complex. You ask one day, Bernama can do a statistic study, how many of them who know how to use that fire extinguisher? Probably.
You have a little guide, a sticker that's just pasted there next to it.
This have to be done in a split second. You have no time to read them.
It's true.
So I would say everybody plays a role. It's an holistic approach. The media, the places that we go before they start a function, and to tell them, in case there's an emergency, how do you use a fire extinguisher. Now there's also certain things. If the fire is big, you don't use a fire extinguisher. First thing before you use the fire extinguisher, you break the alarm glass. You know there's a glass?
Yes.
You have to break that because you have to notify to people, to your security team, that there is an emergency at this location.
Andrew, as our closing, what would you like to share or highlight?
Okay, for me, my dream is to see where Malaysia will be in par with Japan, you know, in terms of safety. Everybody, every citizen of Japanese people, their focus is safety. You don't see them riding a bicycle, even for leisure, without an helmet. You know, but we do see that in Malaysia. So you can advise, you can tell. I hope that the culture can be developed. Let's pray and hope. And I have not given up hope. And I know that one day our younger generation will be much better and be in par along with these countries.
Well, thank you for coming today
my pleasure.
To highlight this so pertinent issue that sometimes many of us, you know, overlook. Well, I hope that I think it's been a very interesting show throughout. I hope you've enjoyed the hour with us. And of course, it is World Day for Safety and Health at Work tomorrow. So go out and spread that message and stay safe. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Thank you.